G'day everyone, this is Jackson Milan, the Wealth Mentor, co-founder and CEO of Aureus Financial.
Sam Panetta, COO and co-founder of Aureus Financial.
And welcome to our first Ask Aureus Anything question and answer live event. The question is, I've been running my own business for a few years, but I've always wondered if I'm set up the right way for tax. Should I run my business as a sole trader, or should I consider another way, such as a company or something like that? This is a really good question. The thing about the Australian tax system is that we have one of the best tax systems in the world. And look, obviously, you and me alike, we all hate paying taxes, but it's a necessity of life to live in a great country. The thing about the Australian tax system is that there's no such thing as tax avoidance. If you're trying to avoid tax, you're going to go to jail like Crocodile Dundee. It's as simple as that. But you can minimise tax. And ultimately, it's an exercise of deciding whether you want to pay the tax now or whether you want to pay the tax later. And really, tax structures are just a way to give you flexibility around how you go about managing your tax obligations. And it's really about having that flexibility, which can hopefully lead you to optimise the outcome. I always say to my clients that it's always best to be aspirational in your business. If you're telling yourself that you should be continuing to be a sole trader until you get to a certain level, or you're trying to keep your costs down as a startup, and you'll eventually get to a big enough size that you'll be able to justify setting up a company or a trust or something like that, you're already applying a mindset to that situation that you're limiting your growth potential. So an exercise that I like to take my clients through, whether it be as personal planning or business planning, is essentially trying to assume that you are a big multinational company and think about how would you structure if you wanted to scale to be a multi-million-dollar business. And it's normally easier to set up these structures, obviously not as complex as a multinational company would have, but having the right structures and the right flexibility in place from the get-go to ensure that you have that structure that can grow with you and your business. So to answer your question, I believe that the goals exercise should come first. And it also is about your individual situation. The thing about being a sole trader is that all of the net income that you earn after your costs have been deducted have to go to you 100%. So where you've got potentially your spouse that may not be working or may be on a lower income, you've maybe got adult children, or you may want to continue to reinvest in your business, maybe not this year, but in future years, a company structure may give you more flexibility around distributions and also retaining earnings, which can help you create some tax efficiencies. Lastly, to answer that question, the key consideration is that the more complexity you have in your structures, the more cost that comes with that. So it's important that it is justified. I always say set a target and then grow to that. So if you are going to go and create complex structures like a trust or a company, then you need to set yourself a growth target to justify the costs. There's no point having a company if you're making 30 grand a year. So hopefully that answers your questions.
All right, excellent stuff, mate.